What's going on, Smitties and people of the world? It is Patrick here, and welcome to the Ultimate Zombie Map Challenge. In today's episode, we have astronauts versus the Imperial Army. It's Moon versus Numa. Now, if you want an understanding of how the ranking system works a little bit better, you can go check out the link down in the description below. I explain it out to the fullest. But apart from that, let's get into this video. So let's start off on setup. What map is more fun to get your perks, get your guns, and things of that nature? And this is out of 8 points. So Numa is pretty basic, it's just getting doors open so you can get to things. However, it is a little unique in the aspect that it is the shape of across the map. So you go to one area, go to another, but it's not this binary door thing that most maps follow suit as. Overall, though, it's really nothing special. Now, Moon is a little bit different because, you start off in Area 51, you have your opportunity to get Jug and things like this. So I do think that Moon has the advantage. There's a lot of unique things in the map that make it sort of fun. You have the astronaut to worry about. So I think Moon gets the edge here. However, it does get very annoying when you lose Jug and, it's such a hassle to get it back because you have to go to Area 51 twice. So for that reason, we're only going to give Moon 5 points and Numa 3. However, it still does win. Moving on to post setup. What map is better after you've gotten everything you need? Both maps are very, very similar. Numa, you have a couple of spots to train, the boardwalk, this area you see right here. And it's just going to high round. There's nothing special. You're just doing what you got to do. Moon, exactly the same. You got a couple of spots, the Geodome, the outside little area by Mule Kick, and really, you're just trying to get to a high round. And I got to give both sides 3 points. It really just comes down to your preference. Now, in the last section of replayability, we have difficulty level. What map is closer to that perfect level of in between too hard and too easy? Now, Moon on one hand is frustrating when you're setting up. It can be hard then, but once you really have everything, it's not too much of a problem. And Numa is kind of the opposite. It's quite easy to set up, and it's a little bit harder once you start training, I feel. But really, overall, I think they're probably both very, very close to that good level of difficulty. And in fact, so close, I got to make it another tie. So both are 3 points. So now we're going to move away from replayability and look at innovativeness. And the first thing that we have are wonder weapons. So Numa brought the first partially exclusive wonder weapon to the game, and that was the Wonder Wap. Awesome, awesome gun. However, Moon had more than one wonder weapon. It had the wave gun slash zap gun, and it also had the QED, which was a very cool thing. Now, if it were just up against the wave gun versus the Wonder Waff, I think the Wonder Waff would win because it's just, it's kind of the first of its time, very, very unique thing. And also the Zap gun is quite similar to the Wonder Waff. But because the QED is thrown in here, I'm going to give 2.5 points to Moon and 1.5 to Numa. Next, we're going to look at perks, and this is an absolute blowout because Numa brought no new perks to the game, whereas Moon had both Mule Kick and Deadshot Daiquiri, so they get all 4 points for that one. Now, moving on to bosses. Numa brought the first boss round ever to zombies, and it was the Hellhound round. Very, very cool, very fun. Really, really like the Hellhounds. And Moon brought one of the most annoying guys, personally in my opinion, who was the astronaut, and he'd run around, steal your perks if he got you, and he was always there, he always spawned in like every 2 rounds. Very, very annoying guy. I didn't like him very much. So we are going to give Numa 3.5 points and Moon 0.5 because Numa did it first. They had the very first thing ever, very unique, and you get big points for doing it first. The last thing that we have is innovativeness for everything else, and this is out of 8 points. Now, Moon brought quite a bit of stuff. Now, the biggest thing that they had was the whole anti-gravity thing. They also had a very, very unique starting room. The whole you start off on Area 51 and go to the moon by teleporter. That was really cool. They had a lot of new things like the hacker device, huge. They also, like the boss, the astronaut, and some new perks and stuff. Numa brought the flogger, which was honestly probably the best trap ever. They had the Hellhounds, they had things like this, but they didn't really make anything game-changing. They had some cool stuff, I must admit, but nothing game-changing. And so for that, I think we're going to give 6 points to Moon and 2 to Numa. The last thing that we're going to look at is storyline. Now, Numa really doesn't have much of a definitive storyline. We really don't know exactly what happened. There's no big Easter egg like the new maps, but we know that this is kind of where it all started. This is where the new characters started off, and that deserves something. Now, Moon, on the other hand, was a huge storyline breaker. We blew up the world, for God's sakes. So that does deserve a lot of points. But because, Numa was kind of the starting place, I feel like it deserves something. So we're going to give it 1.5 points and Moon the other 3.5. Lastly, we have our bonus round. What map has the zombie feel? The zombie factor. And to this, a lot of you are going to disagree with me, but I have to give it to Numa. Moon just did some things that irked me. Number 1, the gravity. I don't like that I can't run. Number 2, the sound. I can't hear anything. Just little things that really took away from the whole experience for me and just didn't enjoy it. I liked the map as a map, but there were just these things that just made it bad. So for that reason, I have to give it to Numa for the bonus 5 points. And that's it for my part, guys. Moon is at 27.5 points and Numa at 22.5. And now leave it up to you guys. It is your decision on what map is going to make it through to the next round. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you could drop a like, that would be awesome. I'm just, trying to get this series out to as many people as I can. And I'll talk to you later. Peace out.